Hello everyone. In previous sections, we have discussed the concepts of JS events and built an application using them. In this video, I will walk you through the remaining pieces of the puzzle. To understand the JS events better, I have made a visualizer which will help us to understand the propagation of event across the DOM nodes. I'm your friend Naveen, and today we're going to talk about event propagation, different phases of it, and event delegation. To understand the event propagation easily, I have developed this visualizer. Here we have few components. First one is the DOM tree, second is the visualizer area, and then third is the logs area. In the DOM tree, we have three nested divs highlighted by green, pink, and blue backgrounds respectively. And then we have a button also. The green is the outermost parent and button is the innermost child. In the visualizer area, we have split it into two parts. First portion is the capture phase and second portion denotes the bubble phase. Don't worry, we will soon talk about them in detail. Now if we press the button, at the first look it may seem like a click event has happened on this button, but that's not the whole story. Actually, the event always starts from the top of the tree and then move towards the bottom. So first event will reach in the green box, then the pink, then blue, and finally reach at the button. But that's not the end. It further moves to the top in the reverse order now to the button, then blue box, pink box, green box, and further keeps continuing into the DOM tree. Just a note, here for the simplicity, we are just talking about these three divs and the button, but there are other elements which participates in event propagation. For example, window, document, HTML element, and body element. They also participates in the event propagation. Now if you have noticed, there is a pattern and you can visualize it with a valley shape. The event comes from the top to the bottom in the DOM tree. This is called the capture phase. Then event reaches to the originating element. This is called the target phase. And finally event moves from bottom to the top. This is called bubble phase. Target phase is the junction of capture phase and the bubble phase. So to summarize, before pressing the button, the event reaches all the nodes in a certain order and we can predict it. First event reaches to the green box in the capture phase, then pink box in the capture phase, blue box in the capture phase, button in the capture phase. But wait, remember, button is the originating element. That's why this is called the target phase. Again, button in the target phase, and blue box in the bubble phase, pink box in the bubble phase, green box in the bubble phase. This should be the expected order of event. Let's run it and verify it. Please pay attention to the visualizer. When I press the button, event is going to move in this visualizer, and you can also notice the logs area. This will also show order of the event. As you can see, the event has followed the expected order: green box, pink box, blue box in the capture phase, then button twice in the target phase, and then reverse order: blue box, pink box, green box in the bubble phase. Now you might be wondering why I have mentioned the button here in the capture phase whereas it is showing as a target phase. Now when we are adding the event listener, we have only two modes: the capture phase or the bubble phase. By default, all the events which we listen using add event listener method, they are being listened in the bubble phase mode. Means we will always follow this particular order from bottom to the top. But in the handler, when we listen the event, there are three phases available: the capture phase, the target phase, and then the bubble phase. The target phase is a special one which denotes that the event is being listened on the same element who has fired it. I refresh the visualizer and this time I'm gonna press on the pink box. So the expected order should be green, pink, and because pink is the originating one, then it will propagate upwards from here. Then again pink and green. So let's click the pink box and now visualize. We can see green box, pink box and green box, and that's the end of the event propagation. And this time, because we have clicked on the pink box, this becomes our target element. Now with another example, let's understand how we can add the listener in both the phases, capture phase or bubble phase. Here in this example, I have added a button on the UI and accessed the button in the JavaScript and created a click handler. Now let's register the click listener on this button. We know we can use add event listener function. The first parameter will be the type of event and then our click handler. By default, our listener will be added in the bubble phase. Let's verify this. Our listener is working perfectly. Here we can see the console and the target element. In this case, the button, because this is originating the event. As we know with our current knowledge that this click event would come from top of the tree and then reaches to the button and then again goes back to top of the tree. Now this means this click event will also intercept the body element. Can we listen it on the body element? Let's try this. So to do so, first let me create another handler for the body element and I'm calling it common click handler, and here I'm mentioning handler at body. And apart from target, there is another variable available which is called current target. Now, what is the difference between these two variables, target and current target? So target, as you know, the element which is originating the event is the target. Then what about current target? Current target is the element where this listener is registered. In our example, when we click on the button and listen it on the body, then this button becomes the target and body becomes the current target. Let's see it with this example. Let's add the click listener on the body also and mention the common click handler here. Let's try to execute it. So what do you expect? What will happen? And what will be the order of these consoles? As I told, by default, the listeners are registered in the bubble phase. Now let's follow back to our diagram. Here is our button and body would be somewhere above the green box. That means in the bubble phase, first the event will come at the button, then move towards up and goes to the body in the bubble phase. That means our console on the button will be triggered first and then the console on the body. So let's click. As I click, and you can see the handler at the button runs first and then shows the target. Target is the button, and then handler at the body triggers and shows the value of event or target, which is again the button because button is originating the event. And third is our body because that's where we are listening this event. Now what if we check the value of current target at the button also? So what do you expect? What would be the value of current target? This is also going to be the button because we have added this handler on the button itself. So let's test this also. When we click here, now in the first console, both references are of the same button. That means the target and the current target are the same. So I hope now you have understand what is the uses of target and current target. Just to summarize again, target is the element which is originating the event, in this case the button, and current target is the element where we are listening this event. In this case, if you are adding the listener here, that means the button is current target and here the body is our current target. Let's refactor our code a bit. I'm keeping all the event listeners at one place and keeping the click handlers at one place. To highlight, the order of adding the listener doesn't matter. If I keep the listener on the body first, still we'll get the same order which we were getting previously. The button, handler will run first and the body handler will run second, because the event propagation always follow this order: the capture phase and the bubble phase. Remember this value figure and you can always predict order of the event. Now so far we haven't mentioned in which phase we are adding the event. By default, when we add a listener, it's the bubble phase. How we can add the event listener in the capture phase? So for that, there is a third argument. If we mention it as true, that means our listeners are added in the capture phase now. Now can you predict the order of the event? Let's refer to our visualizer. Here now, because both of our listeners are in capture phase, here you can expect that the body element will be somewhere above green box and then button. So body, the so the handler at the body will be triggered first and then the handler at the button. Let's verify it. If I click on the button, now you can see the handler at the body is being running first and then handler at the button. What if I add the handler in all the phases? So let's do this. Let's add false, false. So now the first two handlers are in bubble phase and then second two listeners are in capture phase. Now, can you predict the order of the events? Let's refer to our visualizer. So now we have added one handler on the body in the capture phase, another in the on the button in the capture phase, third one on the button in the bubble phase, and fourth on the body in the bubble phase. So you can already predict the order of the events. First, the handler on the body will be running in the capture phase, then the handler on the button in the capture phase, then the handler on the button in the bubble phase, then the body handler in the bubble phase. I have added the event phase also so that we can see in which phase they are being triggered, because we are using the same handler in both the phases. When we click on the button, you see we are getting four consoles as expected. First at the body and then the phase says 1. Now there is a mapping of the phases. 1 means capture phase, 2 means target phase, 3 means bubble phase. So here you can see when we click on the button, then 1, this is the capture phase at the body as we expected. Then this says 2, means this is the target phase. As I told, we registered the listeners either in the capture phase or in the bubble phase. But when we listen it, we get it in 3 phases. 1 in the capture phase, 2 in the target phase, and the button is the target because this is originating the click event. And third is the bubble phase. So all our understanding and our visualizer is working as expected and giving us the right direction. Let me first clean the capture phase part, and I'm keeping only the bubble phase listeners. And let's add one more button here. So now I have two buttons on the UI. Let's get the second button reference and add the click listener on that second button as well. So if I click on the button number 1, I am getting this common handler running. If I click on the button number 2, again the common handler of the body is running. That means what if I remove these two listeners and I'm keeping the common listener on the body? Let's test now. Still, my handler is running on both the buttons, and I'm able to get the button reference using the event.target. Here I'm getting the first button reference, here I'm getting the second button reference. That means we can use the single event listener for multiple children. And guess what? This is our event delegation. Means instead of handling the event and all the buttons, I'm handling it on a common parent level. In this case, on the body.